And we are live. I think Jordan counted to 3 twice during that introduction. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. This is the MLB Deeper Dive for Thursday, June 9th, aka the nicest day you can possibly have. We are brought to you by Oddsshopper, so please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Adam, when do you get back to the East Coast?
Flying back Sunday night into Monday morning, assuming I don't change anything.
Okay, that should be fun,
Not
I guess.
not really in a hurry to leave.
No, not so much.
No, I mean I am excited to get back to my apartment that I've spent like 24 hours at since I moved into it, but yeah, no, I not really in a hurry to go back to Maryland.
I don't really blame you. I'm guessing it's pretty nice out there in comparison.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it's good. Well, anything else interesting happening while you're out on the left coast? What did you think of last night's game? Did you watch any of it?
No, I didn't see any of it.
Not it's perfect. That's outstanding. I have an outstanding follow up for that. Was not ready for it at all. I assume you saw some of it. Fun game to watch.
No,
Laffy and I had a
was
good
at dinner
time on
with Jordan and
Playback.
Eric, so saw none of it.
Got it. Well, that's about
How the watch, whatever the hell it's called, go.
it went quite well. I had a little bit of trouble getting signed onto it to start, but once we were on, it was awesome. It's a really great experience. Like, chat is immediate. There's no lag. Everybody's watching the exact same stream. The game looked perfect. Like, it's a really, really good mechanism for that kind of thing. Like, the moment something comes out of your mouth, chat is able to respond at an instant. There's no like 7-8 second delay like we have for a YouTube chat. It is all just quick back and forth. We had a real good time. Doing it again tomorrow. Don't be afraid to pop in if you want. I can't imagine you'll have anything better to do on a Friday night in Los Angeles, but just in case.
Yeah, Laffy tried to get me to like call in yesterday. I was like, that is absolutely not going to happen.
It's hard enough to get you to do the shows you're on the schedule for.
Right. I'm certainly not setting the precedent that I am ever doing those.
That you are ever available when you're not
Right.
on the schedule. Yeah, I get it. All right. So we've got 6 games if you're playing on FanDuel tonight, 5 games if you're playing on DraftKings. We're going to kick it off out of the gate with the game from FanDuel. Does that work for you?
Do I have a choice?
Nope, certainly don't.
All right.
Well, then here we're going. Marlins and Nats, 4.3 run implied total for the Marlins, 3.8 for the Nats. Trevor Rogers and Steven Strasburg going for the Nats. Rogers 7,400 on FanDuel, Strasburg 8,200. Neither guy picking up all that much love from an ownership perspective. My question to you is this: what do you want to do with Steven Strasburg?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of interesting just because we don't really know what to expect from him. We have him projected for 25 FanDuel points, so kind of middle of the pack. $8,200 price tag is reasonable. So, if you want to take shots on him, I think it's okay, but I also don't think you can have too much confidence going in there. I mean, it's his first major league start of the season. We really don't know what he's going to be at this point with, all of the injuries that he has dealt with. We have him right now on FanDuel projected for only 2% ownership. Yeah. But the issue too is that, on FanDuel you have the quality start bonus, the win bonus. So like you're punished more than you would be on DraftKings, assuming he doesn't go 6 innings here. So overall, I think, just pretty difficult to actually get to.
Yeah, I think so too. Just doesn't feel like the day that you're trying to do it. This isn't the same Marlins team. It's a much better order than we've seen, say, like in the past year or two when they were truly dreadful in the bottom of the barrel. Does Trevor Rogers tickle your fancy at all on FanDuel? I doubt it.
Yeah, no, not really. He's kind of weird to me because he did have really good strikeout numbers last year, but this year he's really fallen off. He's only struck out about 19.5% of hitters, 4.62 xFIP. He's walking too many guys. He's giving up too many home runs. Nats are middle of the pack in terms of offensive production this year. They don't have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup, only a 19% strikeout percentage on their roster. So I don't really see much about Rogers that stands out unless you're just, kind of trying to recapture what he was doing last year. But right now, a 6% chance of being the top pitcher, 5% ownership, 9% chance of being the top value at 7,400. So I think I would need to be making, quite a few lineups to start getting to Rogers.
I assume that friend of the program, News God, is in charge of tweeting out our MLB lineups. I don't know if that's true. That's just what I think it is. We just posted the lineup for the Washington Wizards today. Wrong team, wrong sport, but still NBA season. Tough to make that switch. I looked at it and I was just like, why does that look weird to me? It took me a second before I figured it out.
You're not used to the Wizards still playing during the finals?
No, neither are they. It's even hard to be like, oh, you're not used to the Wizards playing in the first round of the playoffs.
They've never been to the finals. Well, I mean, the Wizards haven't been to the finals, right? No.
No, not even close.
No, yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what is in the Bullets past.
Yeah, I mean the Bullets definitely have, but
yeah. Let's talk bats here. If that works, I'm pulling up our top stack tool for FanDuel because this is not on the DraftKings slate, so it's not something that I have looked at aggressively. As of this moment, we have the Wizards with the fifth highest top stack odds. We have Miami quite a bit further down the line. They are a decent value, but interestingly enough, and it's probably the piece that we need to talk about most, Miami, pretty decent ownership chunk for a team with not a high top stack odd and not necessarily a huge value ranking either. Any concept as to why Miami is pulling as much ownership as they are given their rank in our top stack tool?
No, it seems pretty surprising to me. I mean, maybe it's just the value aspect, but it's not even like we have them being like a great value. They're a solid value. So kind of surprising to me. I mean, stacking against Strasburg in his first start back would make some sense if nobody's going there and you're just hoping that you get a bad Steven Strasburg. But with the amount of ownership they're getting, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. It does seem like it's being pulled at least somewhat by Jazz Chisholm, who certainly makes a lot of sense. He's second base shortstop eligible. He's really good. But overall, though, still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And one thing I do want to double back on with Strasburg, because I just overlooked it. He did go 6 innings in his last AAA start. Dave Martinez said he's not going to be limited today. Now, I still think he's going to have a shorter leash than he normally would. If you're talking about a healthy Steven Strasburg making his 12th starter or whatever it would be in the middle of June, I certainly don't think he has the same leash today that he would then. But it is at least nice, that it makes me a little bit more willing to gamble on him, knowing that if he's relatively efficient and pitching well, he can get you the quality start bonus.
Now, on the opposite side of this one, the Nats are looking pretty good. The biggest positive leverage stack on the slate seems like they're getting underrepresented. They're pulling in basically no ownership at all. Does that become a little bit more appealing to you because of the leverage?
Yeah, they were in my tournament plays video. It's not that you feel overly confident here. It's not a great offense. They've been close to league average in terms of production, as I mentioned before. And Trevor Rogers isn't someone that I feel great going up against just because he did have so much success last year. But if you look at his numbers this year, I mean, he's been just bad across the board. You're not getting much ownership going to the Nats. It's still only a 6-game slate. We have them with the 5th highest top stack percentage, virtually no ownership. If that ownership holds where it is, it makes them look like a good tournament option to me.
Yeah. Any individual bats you want to touch on other than what I assume is going to be you saying, I really like Juan Soto?
Well, yeah, I mean, that goes without saying, but I was also going to say $3,200 Nelson Cruz at 3% owned.
Yeah. I'm really surprised to see the ownership the way that it is, but I mean, I guess part of it is just simply Miami is as cheap as they are. But this Nats lineup looking good. I don't have much else that I really want to add here for this single game that doesn't overlap to DraftKings. Is there anything you're seeing that we're missing?
Nope.
Did not think so. We'll dig in deeper once we get to these DraftKings games. But first, let's talk a little bit about the schedule for the rest of the day. This is kind of simple. MLB Live Before Lock coming up next. That one starts at 6:00. And then we're done for the day. That is it for Thursday. So make sure you're tuning in to that one. You don't have to leave this stream at all. Just stay on this link. Everything will happen after that. Free content. Since you're watching this show, I assume you'd be interested to know that MLB ownership is free. You can browse directly to Awesemo.com to get that. That is for the main slate only, just in case you were curious. Now, let's get into it. Lots to talk about here. I've got some lineups prepped already. I'm not really excited about it, so I'm curious to get your thoughts. The Guardians, first one up, 4.9 run implied total for the Guardians, 3.7 for the A's. It's Connor Pilkington and James Caprillion. Pilkington, 20% owned right now. I completely agree with that mark at 7,100. Caprillion, 2% owned. I completely agree with that mark as well. Let's start on the Pilkington side. How are you feeling about that 20% ownership at 7,100?
I think it makes sense given the matchup and what we've seen from him in a limited time in the majors. We don't have much that we can rely on with this guy. He's 24 going on 25, but 14 and a third innings at AAA this year for Cleveland was his first time above AA, and then he has 17 innings in the majors so far. Last year in 62 innings at AA for the White Sox, he struck out 30.5% of hitters. At AA for Cleveland in 38 and 2/3 innings, he struck out 31.5% of hitters. Only struck out 17.5 in that limited sample at AAA this year, but then is back to striking out 29.1% so far in the majors. Zips has him at 22.1% strikeout projection in the majors. But you're getting a really favorable matchup against Oakland. They have one of the lowest WRC pluses in baseball this year at 81. They have a 23% strikeout percentage on their active roster, and he's also not expensive. So all of those things, make it still make me willing to roster him at pretty high ownership, even though there is some uncertainty around, exactly what this guy's skill level is.
I think another big piece here is that, depending on how you feel about Jordan Lyles, you have Caprillion on the opposite side and then Chris Bubich. There's not a lot to pay for below him. We've got a grand total of 11% aggregate ownership below 7,100. So he is sort of the floor as well. That A's matchup helping out at all. Do you want to go to Caprillion?
So Caprillion's price tag at first glance is kind of surprising just because he's someone in the past we've seen, up around 8 or 9K, but he's another pitcher this year that just isn't getting anywhere close to the same level of strikeouts that he has in the past. And it's not like it's not like it's even been, the strikeouts are down, but he's limiting production or anything like that. He's only struck out 15.5% of hitters this year, 5.36 xFIP, 1.9 home runs per 9, going up against a Cleveland team that is difficult to strike out, is still, to my surprise, in the top third of the league with a 110 WRC plus. The only real case I can make for Caprillion is that it's baseball and he's getting 1% ownership compared to that was FanDuel. He's getting 2% ownership compared to 20% for Pilkington. So, in any given lineup, if you wanted to make that pivot, it's fine. If you're just looking at them individually, Caprillion is more underowned than Pilkington is. But I also agree with the field and with the top pitchers tool that Pilkington's much more likely to have success, and you're only talking about one spot in your lineup. So certainly expect to get to more Pilkington than Caprillion. Caprillion to me is more of just a large field tournament. You're playing 150 lineups. He lands in them occasionally.
I guess, I would have said I think that we should start with the Guardians. They are the second most owned team on the slate. Would you rather start with Cleveland, the second most owned team, or would you rather start with the A's, the second highest ranked team in our stack score?
We can start with the A's.
Okay. Talk to me about the A's then. Fantastic value. This current lineup is as cheap as it gets.
Yeah, it's not a great matchup, but they are really cheap, like you said. So it makes sense why they're getting some ownership. You do also get leverage against Pilkington, but they're bad. It's a really interesting spot to me because they're not getting a ton of ownership. They're projected for 8% ownership, 8.5% ownership, 8.5% chance of being the top stack. 26% top value percentage is the highest on the slate, and you are getting leverage against Pilkington. So all of that's nice, but you're still talking about an Oakland team being, close to 10% owned. The counterpoint would be that there are still 5 teams on the slate pulling more ownership. So I do think I'll get to some Oakland here just because they are cheap. You're going to be able to build good lineups around them. And then also, if Pilkington, who is still a question mark, at least to some degree, pitches poorly, you are in a good spot with 25% of the field losing.
I can't believe how cheap this A's team is. I realize that they're not fantastic, but most expensive person, 4,100. After that, 3,400. You can just get to whatever you want. And given the pitching at the top, obviously, we're going to talk quite a bit about Garrett Cole and Max Fried. Like being able to go to Oakland makes things a lot easier. Who stands out most to you from the Oakland side?
Um,
God, I can't believe
my
Jed
immediate
Lowry's
answer
still
is
in
like
baseball.
Matt Olson. It's like that's not it. Laureano, I think, like he's getting the most ownership. He makes sense. I do kind of always like getting to Sean Murphy because he does have some power at catcher. We know that's a difficult position to fill out. Other than that, not really much of anything. Like Tony Kemp is really cheap. He's not a really high upside guy though. He's pretty
Yeah.
unlikely to hit a home run or anything. But I think the three guys getting the most ownership, Laureano, Kemp, and Murphy, are the ones that I would expect to get to first as well.
Okay. I don't mind Jed Lowry for 2,800 given the
Nah.
second base eligibility. The relationship between Kemp and Lowry in terms of ownership is basically the same. So you get a cheaper Kemp at a better order spot. So if there was a bigger disparity in ownership, I think that could get a little interesting as a swap, but it doesn't appear that that's happening. So doesn't really matter.
By
Let's
the way,
switch
did you
over.
see that the
Go ahead.
first person ever likes you more than me?
First person that's clearly not true. But
First
yes, I
person
did
that
see
has
it.
met us both.
That was it was aggressive. It's a weird way to come in because like I'm going to keep doing this show regardless. Didn't really matter to me at all.
Yeah, it's the second time he got mad about something I said on Twitter. So now, like, occasionally he just shows up and
Do you know what it
announces
was?
that he's not going to watch me.
Is it something you can say on this stream?
I don't remember. It was a tweet that he misread. I don't remember what it was.
It wasn't like I really love Saudi golfers making hundreds of millions of dollars.
No, it wasn't my pro Saudi Arabia stance.
Okay. Yeah. Let's wait until people are really chirpy about this stuff until they back up that $100 million Brinks truck they did to Bryson's house, and he's like, in.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, do I have no idea what I would actually do. I mean, it's not a
I
situation.
mean, at
of
100
getting-
million, you and I both know what we would do.
Well, but I mean, like, what if I'm making really good money on the PGA Tour and it's going to cost me endorsements?
Sure.
Like,
Well, it depends.
it's still
100 million.
business decision.
100 million is like, okay,
Right.
I'm good.
It's still a
if this
business
goes
decision.
south, I'm good. I'm out.
I can very, very, very confidently say that I'm at least considering it. I'm not just saying like, yeah, no chance, not doing that.
No, if 100 million to Bryson is real, I don't know how you just look at that and be like, whew, probably need to walk away here. There you go. Baldy in the oaf. The argument that you can do a lot of good with 100 million is a really good one.
Yeah, I made that argument yesterday with somebody.
It's true. All right, let's switch it up to the Guardians side of this one. Heavily owned. They are the second most owned team. They're basically fourth in our stack score, but it's pretty blurry at the top. I like this Cleveland team quite a bit today, and I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm going to be joining some of this ownership. What are you doing with the Guardians?
Yeah, it seems like a pretty good spot given how much Caprillion has struggled so far this year. I mentioned before, but giving up almost 2 home runs per 9 innings. And Cleveland's just been a better offense than I expected. It helps certainly that you get one of the best third base options with Jose Ramirez. The rest of the lineup kind of is not as exciting, but I do think it's a good spot. I think that they've been a productive offense. Ramirez, not surprisingly, leading the way at 24% ownership. Jimenez at 21%. Kwan at 19%. Relatively inexpensive. Kwan only 3,100. Naylor 16%. So I do think that as a whole, Cleveland's getting a little bit too much ownership when you start talking about those other guys. But Ramirez individually, even at 6,300, looks fantastic.
Chandre once again wrong. Shocked.
I thought he only did basketball.
Yeah, he comes in and ruins baseball shows too. Money buys time, man. It's the only thing you can't get back. Oh man. I ran some crunches earlier, just like tossed it into my sort, and it appears that the Guardians are the team that are jumping to the top, even with the negative leverage that we're seeing. Is that going to play a major role for you on a day like today? Like, how problematic or how big of a role is leverage playing for you right now?
So, I mean, typically it plays a pretty big role, especially in a case like this where, and I was kind of alluding to it as I was talking through Cleveland, it would be different if you were talking about Jose Ramirez getting a ton of ownership and then the rest of the team not getting as much. But when you have the entire team getting it, or at least, most of the rest of the team getting it, like right now, the lowest projected owned guy on DraftKings from Cleveland is Luke Miley at 6%. So it's not like you have easy ways to differentiate your lineup. And I still don't totally buy into a lot of these hitters. So that's a bit of a problem too. It would be different if you're just talking about, the Dodgers or something like that. But when you look at the teams ahead of them in top stack percentage, most of them are also overowned, just not by the same margin. And like you look at a team like Baltimore, they're projected to be their ownership to be about the same, but they're a much better value option. New York and Atlanta are worse value options, but not nearly as overowned. Kansas City is similarly overowned, but a little bit more valuable as well. So I think I probably don't end up getting to the field on Cleveland just because of how the alternatives around them look.
Okay. Favorite Cleveland bat that isn't Jose Ramirez?
That's a really good question.
I think this one's easy.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think they all kind of suck.
I think it's
Josh
Oscar
Naylor?
Gonzalez because he's 2,200.
I was going to say Josh Naylor.
I'm fine with that answer.
Who was your? Oscar Gonzalez.
Yeah. 2,200 makes it so that like you can basically be anybody and he's not a nobody. And that is what sort of like makes it interesting for me.
Wait, he's not?
He's not what?
You said he's not a nobody.
Yeah. I mean, projected 123 ISO or 123 WRC plus at a steamer, 194 projected ISO. That's pretty good.
What?
Am I crazy here?
No, I just don't know anything about it. Like those are the same numbers I'm looking at, but like it's one of those things where it doesn't match up at all with like the FanGraph scouting report.
Gotcha.
Like they have him not ranked as a team or overall prospect. They have him with a 35 future value. And then Steamer has him with a 200 ISO at 24.
Interesting. Yeah, like last year in AA, 159 weighted runs created plus. I mean, when he first started it out,
AA, 234 in AAA last year, 224 in AAA this year.
148 in rookie ball when he was 18. It's obviously 6 years ago, but I mean, like he came out and raked at least a little bit. I wonder why he's like full. I don't know. I don't really know how to read into that. But anyway,
I think FanGraph's prospect reports are just like really wonky sometimes.
Yeah. Either way, if Steamer's to be believed, that's why I was like 2,200 for that. Like raw data looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sports Illustrated doesn't matter.
Is that a thing still?
I was surprised. It was just like the first thing that popped up when I was Googling his prospect status. Yeah, I don't know. I can't quickly find a good answer for this, but either way, he's 2,200. He may or may not have power, and that's good for somebody that's 2,200.
Yeah. Sports Illustrated. Man, there was a time where like getting that in the mail was the greatest day.
Right.
It's like, oh, I got to sit down and read the Sports Illustrated. And now it's just like, fucking, why do I have a magazine?
They have him with, for whatever it's worth, they have him with a future value of 45. I really just wanted to see where he ranked within Cleveland's system, but I can't find it.
Yeah, I don't have a Baseball America thing any longer, so. Prospects, Cleveland.
Where am I at? Guardians Baseball Insider has him with a 55 power tool, 40 hit.
Okay. Obviously don't know what that is, but.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like they forgot to rank him.
Yeah, I feel very comfortable saying that this guy is in their top 30 prospects, which FanGraphs is suggesting he's not.
Yeah, like David Fry is a 26-year-old catcher that was ranked 44th. That seems like it's pretty easy to just find him somewhere else. Did he change his name? Did he like come over and then all of a sudden we found out that he used to be like Jim Smith and now he's Oscar Gonzalez?
Cleveland.com as of April 1st, 2020 had him ranked 29th in the Cleveland system.
At first, I thought that was going to be like a April Fool's joke post, but I was like, this one seems way too deep if they're just making Oscar Gonzalez April Fool's jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, this one's going to be tough for me to start, but we just now had a super chat in. Thanks to teabagging time for the super chat. came second, 23rd, and 63rd last night in the NBA $25 GPP. Keep up the great content, Adam, Alex, Josh, and Laffy. Yo, that's awesome, man. Congrats. That's a lot of lineups in the top 1%. That's all you could really ask for. I'd imagine that paid out pretty well for you. You see? Did you see what won NBA? Solo Bink for 250.
No, I didn't. Last I had looked, people were chopping for like 58.
With like 2 minutes to go in the game, it flipped to a solo bank. 8 game. He's in chat pretty regularly.
Yeah.
One of our
it's him?
subs. He was in first and then got
damn.
passed by the solo guy.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's brutal. I want to move on from Guardians A's.
I really want to find a freaking Cleveland prospect rankings, but yeah.
Just subscribe to Baseball America or something. Make your life easier, or Prospectus at least. No, go. Just subscribe to Baseball America. Does ESPN have it?
I finally found it. MLB.com has it. I just couldn't find the by team quickly. They have him not on there. There's no way he's not on this list, though.
I'm fascinated by the fact that this guy seems to just like exist in the ether. Is there top prospects list on ESPN? Where did Keith Law go? I give up. I can't care.
It's not like it's an age thing. Like there's a bunch of 24-year-olds. There's a 25-year-old on this Cleveland list. I have no idea. That's way too much time talking about.
T. McBee says he's not rated as a prospect because he became a free agent. Maybe that's why he never got ranked for Cleveland. He wasn't on the Cleveland roster at the time.
He's been in Cleveland's system for a while, though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, they re-signed him to a minor league deal when he didn't catch on with the major league team.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I don't know.
It would make sense that it's some sort of like stupid technicality.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that no source of any baseball knowledge has him anywhere to easily access at 23 and hitting well. Moving it on to the reigning, defending, undisputed champions of Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Max Fried and JT Brubaker. Brubaker, 4% owned. I would make a case that he could get a little bit more ownership than that, but I'm not going to make a hard case here. What I do want to talk about, though, is Max Fried, who is currently 48% owned, 43%, 44% owned. That's the number we're going to go with. Basically, I had a pivot table that wasn't refreshed, but regular data that was, and they were two separate numbers, and that confused me. We've got three guys that are basically owned the same, right around 45%. That's Fried, Garrett Cole, and Ohtani, who we'll get to in a bit too. Do you have any disagreements with the Max Fried ownership for today? Because I do not.
No, I mean, he doesn't have the same sort of strikeout stuff that Ohtani and Cole have, but he's also very clearly got the best matchup when you have Cole going up against Minnesota, you have Ohtani going up against Boston, and then you have Max Fried basically pitching against a 4A team in Pittsburgh. 24% strikeout percentage on Pittsburgh's active roster, 94 WRC plus. You compare that to two top 10 offenses in baseball this year, so that should help make up for the lack of strikeouts relatively. But it's also not like Fried's a bad pitcher. He's not a great strikeout pitcher, but only walks 4% of hitters, has a 3.02 xFIP. He's still a very good pitcher. He's more expensive than Ohtani, not as expensive as Cole. I think the ownership makes a lot of sense.
You and me both. 8 game just chimed in. He had the same lineup as the guy that won, but 8 game had Time Lord at captain. The winner had Clay, but same 6 guys. That's a beat. That's a beat. Okay. Anything for Brubaker?
I mentioned him on FanDuel in my tournament plays video, but it wasn't any sort of like strong vote of confidence or anything. It was basically just he's a way you can differentiate. He's not getting much ownership. This is, I think, a boom or bust spot because Atlanta's a very good offense. They have a lot of power. 111 WRC plus, 192 ISO, leads all of baseball this year. But their active roster does also have a 25.5% strikeout percentage. Brubaker has decent strikeout stuff. 22.2% strikeout percentage is 22.5%, slightly higher than Max Fried, but a 4.4 xFIP, 1.4 home runs per 9. I think it's more likely than not that Atlanta has a good game here and Brubaker doesn't, but there is some strikeout upside at very low ownership. So nothing that I plan on prioritizing, but 3% ownership. Like if you look at the top pitchers tool on DraftKings, and I already mentioned it on FanDuel, every pitcher ahead of him in top 2 pitcher percentage is projected for at least 22% ownership. And then we have him at 3%. Even if you assume that 3% is actually like 6 or 7%, that's still a pretty big gap from everybody ahead of him.
Yeah. I just look at it, and the only thing that I really see when I look at Brubaker is this is a really easy way to not have a Connor Pilkington lineup.
Right. Yeah, he's another guy where, we kind of mentioned it with Caprillion, but also with Brubaker. It's just he'd be my preferred guy where, like, if I just have we talked about Cleveland, for example. A popular stack that is difficult to differentiate within that stack. Maybe in a lineup like that, I'm going to just go from Pilkington to Brubaker. I understand and agree that Pilkington is the better option of the two, but it's not a 8-1 or 5-1 or 6-1 gap.
Yeah, I don't have the gap between Brubaker and Pilkington to be all that big, but the ownership is showing it to be huge. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter because there are 4 arms on this slate that are way better than anything that we're talking about right now, other than Max Fried, obviously, who's a part of those 4. Let's talk bats. We're certainly not going to start with the Pirates. We have Atlanta with the 3rd most aggregate ownership. They are our top stack, 9th in value, but 6th in stack score. Do you see yourself getting to the Braves here?
I do like Atlanta. We have them at the top in terms of top stack percentage. Not getting quite as much ownership, but also not a good value. They're an expensive team. But I think the upside's really high. I mean, I mentioned it that this team has the highest ISO in baseball. They're facing a pitcher who is basically middle of the pack. And there's, just top to bottom, a lot of power here. Acuna leads the way at 22% owned. Swanson, Riley, Albies, Olsen, D'Arnaud, all between 10 and 17%, and then Duvall, Harris, Ozuna, sub 10%. This is just a team that, even though the ownership is there, there's so many ways to stack them and still get upside into your lineup. And then you do have cheap pitching options as well. So, I think that people probably looking to get, Cole plus Fried plus Ohtani, some combination of those 3. It'll make it a little bit more difficult for them to do that with Atlanta unless they're just going to, Oscar Gonzalez one-offs and guys like that. But, if you're going to go down to Pilkington, or if you're going to go down, I guess, obviously not the Brubaker in this case, but, roll the dice on somebody like Caprillion or any of these other cheap guys, the upside for Atlanta is massive.
It really is. I don't know how much I'm actually going to get to them today. They're not, like, I'm getting to a bit more of the Yankees than I am the Braves. And they're sort of similar in that they're both expensive stacks. So I'm curious to see how that ends up after we get a couple more lineups in. Favorite Braves bat?
Acuna.
Yeah, that's fair, and a pretty dumb question too. Anything you want to do?
I think Olsen at a little bit of an ownership discount is pretty interesting too.
Sure. It's just a really good lineup.
I like the entire team.
Same. Pirates side of this one, it's a decent value. They are the least owned team on the slate. Do you want anything to do with Pittsburgh?
Not really. If you were going to go after Fried, I think you're looking for right-handed power. This year, a 187 expected ISO to righties compared to 0.057 to lefties. The problem is just that you're not getting much right-handed power from this team. And also, like, Brian Hayes is expensive. Brian Reynolds is fine. Chavez batting cleanup is cheap enough. Sawinski at 2,100, but lefty there. So there's not much that I want here. I would say Hayes and Reynolds are the top 2.
Sounds good. I don't have much that I really want to follow up for. So let's talk a little bit about the sponsor of this show. That would be Oddsshopper. I've been talking about them a lot lately. They've been sponsoring quite a few shows on my list. And it's just a fantastic tool. And it's not even just if you're betting on sports, because I don't have the ability to bet on sports in the state of North Carolina, but I still love seeing the data so easily on Oddsshopper. If you just want to look through game lines, they're immediately there. You can shop across books if you need to, if that's something that you can do, if you are able to bet on sports. But really, taking a look at our player props, maybe using those alongside playing on, say, prize picks, or even trying to tweak projections if you need to, it's at a fingertip. So you can just go immediately see our projections, expected ROI, expected win rate. You can immediately get to those individual props at different books. We've got parlay builders and ARB calculators, all sorts of different stuff on oddshopper.com to help you out a ton. I really think that you guys should check it out. It's completely free. So it's not where I'm not trying to sell you on anything with Oddsshopper. It is a utility that costs you nothing and should provide you some value. Really hope that you guys check it out. Tedo says, you don't think Bryson is making close to 100 million a year? No, not even close.
And the very obvious proof of that is that he took 100 million to go play on that tour.
Yeah, it's not even remotely
like nobody's taking a pay cut to do it.
No. Here's why it's not even close. The highest paid athlete, according to Forbes, in 2022. Do you have a guess who that was?
LeBron.
Or he is second. Messi is one. LeBron is two. Doesn't really matter for this case. Messi 130 million. LeBron 120 million. LeBron and Bryson DeChambeau slightly different in stature in terms of earning ability. Though? Yeah, on field and off field. LeBron earned 41 million on the court and 80 million off. Bryson is not in the top 10 of United States athletes. Tiger Woods made 68 million. So there's your reference for Bryson. He's not even in sniffing distance. And all 68 million the Tiger earned was off the field earnings. He apparently earned 40K in on course earnings. Let's see. Where does he show up? Does he even show up? Phil is at 45 million. Do we get to Kemba Walker was like 45th. Jake Paul is somewhere relevant. Bryson is not in the top 50. So, yeah, he took the bag. Jake Paul evidently per Forbes 38 million.
That's absurd.
30 million in the ring, 8 million out of it.
I mean, good for him, even though I hate everything about him. Not him, not even him personally, just like the entire fact that he's able to make that kind of money. But yeah, good for him.
Yeah, that's and he succeeded too. Like he didn't even just go out and like, you know, he took a beating, got knocked clean out, but at least walked away with the cash. Like he did all the good shit too. Like he got his cake and got to eat it too. He got to thrive and make $30 million.
Yeah, as far as just like people that all around had a great year, he's got to be near the top of the list.
Doesn't get much better than that, really. All right, let's keep it moving here. Twins and Yankees. Dylan Bundy going for the Twins, 3.5 run implied total. Garrett Cole going for the Yanks, 5 run implied total. We'll start here. Is Garrett Cole the best option on the slate today?
I think he's pretty much just neck and neck with Fried and Ohtani. He's clearly very, very good. That goes without saying. 31.5% strikeout percentage, 2.59 xFIP. But it is a tough matchup. Minnesota this year, about a 22% strikeout percentage. We just got their starting lineup. Hasn't populated yet, though. I just saw the text, but haven't seen who was in it. Arias leading off, so that's a shitty strikeout spot. Buxton, Correa, Polanco, Kepler, Sanchez, Larnach, Urshela, Miranda. So pretty much what you would expect. But it's a good offense. It's a good strikeout pitcher. Cole looks good, but I think that basically the reason I said that they're neck and neck is Cole's certainly the pitcher that talent-wise you have the most confidence in out of him, Fried, and Ohtani. But Fried's got the best matchup. Ohtani's got the most favorable price tag. Cole's got a shitty matchup and a shitty price tag, but he's the best. So I think that, you know, they're all pretty similar for me, and that's reflected in the ownership.
Yeah, I mean, to me, he's like the clear top projected guy, not close. But he's also 10-4. Came out of my sim as the highest guy, and he is certainly going to be a guy that I get quite a bit of. I don't have anything else to really add. Garrett Cole's just really good. Do you get to Dylan Bundy?
I think that's a pretty difficult sell.
Yeah.
The only real case is it's a 10-game or 5-game slate. There's 10 teams. But I mean, he's $8,800. He's taking on the Yankees. He hasn't been particularly good this year. 19% strikeout percentage, 4.01 xFIP. He's having home run issues, as he always has. This is not a team that you really want to be home run prone against. They have quite a bit of power. So pretty difficult, I think, to get the Dylan Bundy.
Yeah, they are last in top stack odds, last in top stack value, last in ownership, and last in stack score. Go Twins. Is there any scenario where you're talking about Twins bets?
I mean, they're a good offense against a 40-something% owned pitcher. You can certainly make the case to get there. I would expect that like Shanzan probably has them if he's still playing. I know he's doing
Mhm.
well this year. I haven't paid attention to if he's still playing his batshit crazy style, but
Yeah.
at least 2018 Shanzan that won like every tournament would certainly have Minnesota. Like it definitely makes sense in the risk reward way where you're probably going to lose tonight no matter who you play. You may as well give yourself a chance at having a pretty clean path to the top with Minnesota. But it's certainly not going to come through very often given the matchup here.
Yankees bats on the opposite side, though, fifth in aggregate ownership, second in top stack score, third in our stack score. This is my number one stack overall. I think that the Yanks look great here, particularly against Bundy. I'm going to try to get as much of New York as I can. Don't know how much it's going to be just because I believe I'm going to be paying a lot for pitching. But I do prefer the Yankees to the Braves at this moment. Might be a little bit more on value bats. How are you going to try to get to the Yankees? How do you see them in relationship to Atlanta?
158 plate appearances against right-handed pitching for Aaron Judge this year. What do you think his WOBA and ISO are?
I mean, this could go any direction because I don't even know like how well he's playing. So they're either really, really low or some sort of really stupid number that's probably still lower than Barry Bonds stats.
It is not lower than Barry Bonds.
Oh, hit me.
503 WOBA, 408 ISO. His expected WOBA and expected ISO are even higher.
Oh my God.
Just unreal things for him. But yeah, just so much power, so much power in this lineup going up against a pitcher in Bundy that doesn't miss bats, that does give up home runs. Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, all tons of power. Good hitters elsewhere in the lineup. LeMahieu just a good hitter. Donaldson's back. Torres certainly gives you upside. Joey Gallo's batting ninth at 3,600. I love the Yankees. They are very similar to Atlanta for me.
Yeah.
I do think that I'll probably just get more of whichever one is lower owned, or which right now is the Yankees, and they're also a little bit more favorably priced.
Okay. Favorite Yankees bat that isn't Aaron Judge?
I like Rizzo. So he's actually been hitting for power this year, which is nice. We had seen that kind of disappear from his game somewhat in previous years, but he's expensive. He's 5,600, so he's only pulling 10% ownership. 5-game slate, getting Anthony Rizzo here at 10% is pretty appealing to me when Bundy so far this season has only struck out 13.8% of lefties while allowing a 179 expected ISO. Rizzo has a 298 expected ISO and a 391 expected WOBA against right-handed pitching so far. So I do kind of like the not totally contrarian, but paying up to be somewhat contrarian there.
Judge is just insane. I don't even know, like that stat line has me like mildly shook. That is,
yeah. I mean, not that it's a big sample, but it's 158 plate appearances. Like that is just absurd.
yeah. I mean, that's a hell of a pace. Team McBee says 63 home run pace right now. That is bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Steamer, yeah, like Steamer's got him for 27 more home runs on top of the 22 he already has. That's a pessimistic 49. Got to assume that it's going to be a little bit north of that. 364 ISO on the year. That is insanity. 199 weighted runs created plus. Is that the leader? It is. It's close. Do you know who's second?
I will in a second.
Well, don't do that.
Wait, what was the stat?
Weighted runs created plus.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Judge is at 199.
Hell?
Well, since you're just going to look it up, Yordan Alvarez in at 195.
I was actually trying to think of who I wanted to guess, but it wasn't Yordan Alvarez.
They both have monster 330 plus ISOs. Just nuking the ball. Kudos. Anything else in this one, Twins or Yanks?
No, I think that's it. Lots of power on the Yankee side. Minnesota high upside, but obviously very difficult to get there.
All righty. One quick pluggy plug to go before we finish this one off. MLB DD is the promo code. Get yourself 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. This is the perfect opportunity for you to test it out, guys. We don't do giant deals like this all that frequently on our Platinum Pass. This covers every sport. It's not just baseball. We've got a little bit of hockey still going on. We've got golf. We've got MMA. We've got a little bit of NBA still left. We have F1 and tennis and everything that you can imagine. We actually have it. Projections, ownership, lineup builder, Discord, and more. You get it for 50% off your first month. You can't beat it, guys. This is a deal that you guys should take advantage of. Take a peek behind the paywall for the first time. 50% off. MLBDD. You see it on the screen right now. Sign up or click the link in the description of the video. Does not include Fantasy Cruncher. That is a paid add-on. It's not in our base package, but you can easily add it at checkout.
I have one thing to add to the WRC Plus conversation.
Go ahead.
We had people in YouTube chat the other day asking if Mike Trout is still good. Twitter has just been like lit up with Mike Trout is overrated, blah, 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 because he's like 0 for 30 or whatever.
He's fourth.
Yeah. 182 WRC Plus for Trout, 421 WOBA, and people are asking if the guy is still good.
It's hilarity. It's just people not knowing what they're looking at. Do you want to know how good he is? Obviously, abbreviated season last year, 190 weighted runs created plus. So he's basically in that same area. 182 would be his second best weighted runs created plus of his career if he continued this pace in a non-shortened season. 188 is his peak when he was 26. He is in sniffing distance of that.
Yeah.
I think he's all right.
People deciding that because he goes through a slump or because the team he plays on sucks, that he is not good will never just stop blowing my mind.
He's so ridiculously good. And he's not ever going to be appreciated the way that I would have thought he would have been 10 plus years ago.
Alex hitting the nail on the head. If he's so good, how many World Series has he won?
It is kind of crazy. Like, baseball's wild like that.
Yeah, I mean,
think about
there's just nothing there's nothing you can really do as an individual player.
Yeah. Like, think about when A-Rod signed that big 10-year, $250 million deal with the Rangers back in the day. And like, every person in sports media took a steaming hot dump on top of him. And he was like, he's the reason they can't win and blah, blah, blah. It's like, yo, he's the best player in baseball. He's being paid he's probably underpaid for his skill set and what he's doing right now.
Right.
It's not his fault. It's the easiest concentration of wins you're going to find. Oh, people are insane. All right. Royals and Orioles. It's a coin flip game, 4.8 runs on both sides. Chris Bubich and Jordan Lyles, neither guy really pulling any ownership. Is this a spot you expect to get like a lot of pitching here? Or is this kind of, you'll probably see Bubich and Lyles show up in like random lineups?
I would like to see them show up in random lineups. I will say that I've been getting Bubich in way more lineups than I would like all season long. So maybe that happens again here. But I don't have much confidence in anything. Bubich is one of Kansas City's better pitching prospects, allegedly. He's been absolute garbage this year. 14% strikeout percentage, 15% walk percentage, just absolutely unbelievably bad there. 2.5 home runs per 9, 5.57 xFIP. And I've said it a bunch. The Orioles aren't a good offense, but they're not bad. They're league average in terms of WRC plus. The top of their order is fine. Mullins, Mancini, Hayes, Mountcastle, Santander. No Rutschman tonight, at least in theory, makes it a little bit easier. But at least 1 through 5, these are quality major league hitters. So not a particularly easy spot, even when you do have, a little bit weaker bottom of the order. He's only 5K flat. I think anytime you have a fully stretched out starting pitcher at 5K, it's fair to say that he's underpriced. But right now we have him with a 7% top 2 percentage, 7% projected ownership. He's just so cheap. I don't mind getting to some of him, but certainly not going to feel confident about it. Jordan Lyles, right now it looks actually a little bit more appealing. $6,100, 10% top 2 percentage, 4.5% aggregate ownership. Kansas City doesn't strike out a lot, but they're not a very good offense. Fourth worst WRC plus on their active roster so far this season. And Lyles does throw a lot of pitches. Like, you can at least give him that. He has about a 20% strikeout percentage this year, 3.99 xFIP. So it's not like he's a total gas can. And Baltimore does typically give him a very long leash because they don't care at all about his future. They can just run him out there until he gets hurt, basically. And what the hell is Jordan doing? he's gonna, as long as he's pitching relatively well, they'll let him throw a lot of pitches. So I do have interest in Lyles given the low ownership.
Put the wings down, Jordan. What I do like in this game more than anything else, bats. Royals are negatively leveraged, but are pulling a bunch of ownership. They are first. Orioles pulling a little bit of ownership. I actually had the Orioles coming out of my crunch as my third most exposed team. So I'm going to be getting to your O's. All told, I just kind of want offense in this game, which is not something I normally say in Kansas City because it's not a great home run park. Which direction do you want to go for offense?
I like the Baltimore bats here. They're really, really cheap. So the top stack percentage is in line with the ownership. But when you also consider that they have the second highest top value percentage, I think it's easier, or I prefer getting to Baltimore over Oakland. The two basically cheapest teams you can get to. I like the Orioles 1 through 5, and then the bottom of this order, Tyler Nevin 2,300, Odor 2,900, Chirinos 2K flat, Mateo 2,700. It's going to make it so you can just do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup, whether that's paying up for 2 of the top 3 pitchers, whether it's going Pilkington plus 1 of the top pitchers and just getting studs elsewhere in your lineup. You can kind of just do whatever you want, and I think it's a good spot against Bubich as well. So I do like the Orioles bats.
Okay, yeah. Favorite Orioles bat.
Let me see the ownership. Nothing really standing out ownership wise. Mountcastle at 3,100, probably the answer.
Okay.
In tournaments, I like that so you can pay up for Mancini, who's batting second. He's $1,600 more expensive than Mountcastle, getting half the ownership.
Yeah, I love getting to the Orioles. They are heavily exposed for me right now as I look at it. Don't have much else that I want to add there other than I like getting there. What do you want to do with Kansas City and the ownership though?
I don't think I'll really be getting there. Like I said, I think I agree that Lyles is underowned. Kansas City doesn't have a lot of power in their lineup, and Lyles isn't terrible. He's not a great pitcher, but he's not someone that I'm super excited to get to. I do think, and I'm double checking it now, but with Kansas City, a lot of times, their ownership will be kind of skewed because you're just getting like a lot of Bobby Witt Jr. You're getting a lot of Salvador Perez. That's not the case tonight. We have every single hitter on Kansas City projected to be at least 10% owned. That's Michael A. Taylor at the bottom, Benintendi at 21%, Perez at 19, Witt at 19. I don't think I get to a lot of Kansas City given the current ownership.
I get it. Do you have a favorite Kansas City bat?
Bobby Witt.
Yeah, hard for it to not be, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you could throw Melendez in there since he has catcher outfield eligibility, but
I don't mind Benintendi for 3,500, but it's nothing special. The ownership is already there. Anything else
remember
for this
how bad
one?
Witt started this year?
No, I certainly don't.
Oh,
I don't know how anybody started.
Yeah, Witt started out pretty slow, but he's figured it out.
Okay. Anything else, Royals or Orioles?
Sean V said he gets the feeling I want to take a shot on Bubich. I don't want to. I know I'm going to, though.
There you go. 626 people in here right now. Just 99 likes. Not enough, folks. Before we go to live before lock, stop what you're doing. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you want, but hit that like button. Run them up. It should be well north of 150 at this point. That's on me for not asking for them. We go to the Angels and Red Sox. 4.1 run implied total for the Angels. 3.9 for the Red Sox. Ohtani, Pivetta. Fantastic pitching matchup. I like Pivetta quite a bit, but it's hard not to really like Shohei Ohtani when he's 8,100.
Yeah, I don't really see any way to get around it.
No.
It just comes back to salary being what drives so much in DFS. You can say whatever you want about the matchup against Boston and the risks that come with it. They've certainly been hitting well recently. They've gotten up to like 9th overall in WRC plus now after a horrible start to the season. But you're just talking about a massive discount on the guy that has the highest strikeout percentage on the slate at 33%. His strikeout percentage is 1.5 higher than Cole's. His walk percentage is about the same, 2.7 xFIP. He does give up some home runs, but it's just a blatant mispricing on Shohei Ohtani, regardless of who he's facing.
Yeah, I don't get it at all. It's just so easy to get to an $8,100 Ohtani. Does it come to a point where like you try to get away from him in any way because of it? Like, it kind of, I don't even care that he's 50% owned. It's only a 5-game slate. I don't know what else I could do.
Right. It kind of depends on the lineup. I would expect that across 150 lineups, Ohtani's one of my highest owned pitchers, but you're certainly going to want to be paying attention to what you do in your lineup. Like I'd be surprised and also upset if I end up with lineups where I have like Garrett Cole plus Shohei Ohtani plus Kansas City paired with Cleveland or something, like making it kind of hard on myself to win a tournament, even if that lineup projects really, really well. But there's going to be plenty of ways that I can differentiate and get to Ohtani. I think he's clearly one of the top options.
How do you want to handle Pivetta, who's pulling half of the ownership of basically all of the other main guys, Cole, Fried, Ohtani, but at 8,400, I think he stands out and still looks pretty good.
I'm
Great
really
strikeout matchup.
I think the price tag's reasonable at 8,400, and even though he's pulling 26% ownership, if you just like do a 1v1 comparison to Shohei Ohtani, I do think the ownership going to Ohtani is a little bit disproportionate to their chances of success. That's reflected in the top pitchers tool as well, where Ohtani's getting, has a 30.5% chance of being a top 2 pitcher. Pivetta's at 24.5%, but then you're getting nearly double the ownership going to Ohtani. So I do think that's a spot where, again, not saying I'm getting away from Ohtani, but if you're just looking at the relationship between ownership and top pitcher percentage, Pivetta does look like a good pivot there if you need to save a little bit of ownership. And then just in general, he looks good as well. We did get the Angels lineup while we were talking. No Mike Trout, so that's a bump for Nick Pivetta. Juan Lagares is leading off. Joe Adell batting 5th. This lineup is bad.
Yeah. It makes Pivetta look a lot better there.
What do we know about
Artie
Thomas?
Artie Van Housen says, everybody play Ohtani, please. Gladly. I'd be very happy to.
Dylan Thomas at AAA this year, 23.7% strikeout percentage. Steamer has him at 30.9%. There are some serious strikeouts in this lineup.
Speaking of these lineups, Angels or Red Sox, do you anticipate getting to either team?
I'd be surprised if I get to the Angels. It's just like, why? You can't play Ohtani as a hitter. You don't have Trout. You don't have Ward. Yeah. Jared Walsh is fine. Joe Adell does have power. Stassi's an okay catcher option, but it's really tough to get to the Angels unless you're just saying like they're cheap and they're getting less ownership than the Orioles and the A's, so I'm going to play them. That logic combined with Pivetta being 25% is fine. Like, I'm not going to argue with you and say you're wrong. I don't think it's going to be enough for me to get to a lot of them, though.
At first thought, I was just like, well, at least you can get to Justin Upton. I was like, oh, this is not the Angels of old.
No.
Red Sox bats against Ohtani?
That's a little bit more appealing to me just because they do at least have a major league offense. And Ohtani will give up home runs. He's getting a lot of ownership. This is a situation where, like, I don't think the answer is don't play Ohtani. If you're going into slates and just saying, especially, if you're talking playing more than like 1 or 2 lineups or whatever, and you're just saying like, oh, I'm not going to play the very, very clearly mispriced pitcher, you're going to just put yourself in a lot of holes. But you also, if you are playing, multiple lineups, can certainly get to the Red Sox and say, this is still a very high upside offense, kind of like we said about Minnesota, except for Ohtani. He's comparable in terms of talent to Garrett Cole as well, but a little bit more likely, I think, to give up home runs to this Red Sox team.
Favorite Red Sox bat?
Devers, assuming he's in.
There you go. Favorite stacks for the slate?
Baltimore, New York, Atlanta.
Favorite pitchers on the slate?
Cole, Fried, Ohtani. I will throw Pivetta in there. I mean, I agree with the field on all 5 guys getting ownership. As far as guys not getting ownership, Lyles, and to a lesser extent, Bubic.
Brubaker for me, for guy that isn't getting any ownership, but I'm with you. I think the ownership on pitching makes a lot of sense. I think there are 3 very obvious arms. I think there's another tier, a half step to a step behind those guys, and both of those, Pivetta and Pilkington, are getting the ownership they should. That'll do it, folks. Adam, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Nope.
MLB Live Before Lock coming up next. Don't go anywhere. Stay right on this channel. Hit the like button in the interim. It will help us out a ton. Good luck tonight, everybody. Win some money. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye. Producer, seriously, producer, hang on. There we go. I caught it. I made it. Welcome, everybody, to the MLB Live Before Lock Show, presented by Oddsshopper. It is Oddsshopper's time. It is Oddsshopper's opportunity to flourish. Almost got caught, but you know what? It's all right. Hit the like button for my good fortune. Not with Mookie Betts over 6 today, but you can't have everything, I suppose. Hit the subscribe button as well, because we're kind of fun to hang out with on a Thursday afternoon, evening. A few lovely people out on the East Coast, like my buddy, Greg Ehrenberg at Ehrenberg DFS. He's living that East Coast life. How you doing, my dude?
Good. Like you said, could have been a little bit better had Mookie. Plenty of opportunities for Mookie today. You and I pretty high on Dodgers stacks, and not going to complain. Overall, it was a really good early slate. I'm going to make some good money off it, but could have made some really significant money. Mookie Betts just didn't totally shit the bed because Dodger stacks went nuts. Mookie didn't feel like participating today. But that aside, got another slate to talk about now.
Every single Phillies outfielder hitting a home run. Not probable when you have Corbin Burnes on the mound. Obviously, I don't think any of them came against Corbin Burnes, but his pitch count just got ratcheted up early in the beginning of that game. That's for damn sure. Ended up being a little problematic, but hey, we're moving on. I think we both had a good early slate, stacking up the Dodgers as our favorite team. Hopefully you all were able to partake in that, enjoy some of the good fortune. Shane McClanahan confirmed good at pitching, but let's do it. We've got 6/5 games to talk about here right from the get-go. Before we dig in, any weather, anything that's kind of sticking out to you from before we dive into this slate?
Boy, people really hate Corbin Burnes.
I don't hate Corbin.
Not like him.
Burnes.
He pitched whatever 5 innings.
You know who came within 2 fantasy points of him today? Zach Davies. Oh no, Greg has left me. Oh no, and Jordan's not there. Jordan just left his chair, so this is going to be a one shot. And how do I do this? Hello. I think I did it to the right spot. We'll see. Hold on. Nope, I went the wrong way. Greg, what are you doing? Greg, you're not. Greg. All right, whatever. Jordan. Oh, now he's back.
Wait. No. Because I'm annoyed now. Why does this? Is this a Zoom issue? Because this happens at the start of every show, but like everything else is fine. I've got all my data up. I've got my I could say I'm posting in YouTube chat while I'm frozen here, and I don't get it. This is like 3 shows in a row where as soon as we start, it freezes. I don't get it.
Somebody said, "Oh no, here come the songs." No, I resisted. I did a bit, but I did not sing. Jordan Klein just missed everything that just happened for the last minute.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened either, because it's just at the start of shows. The thing I don't know what I don't get it. Like, why is it at the start of the show every time? It doesn't make any sense.
Because you have all of the great information, and God just doesn't want the people to have it. That must be what it is. So we have to fight a rebellion here. We're going to start we're going to pretend like nothing just happened. Greg, anything that stands out to you regarding this slate that's going to win the people money before we dig in?
The idea is, so I think here's what the big decision point is going to be is, what do we do at the top end of pitcher today? Because we've got 3 guys that are picking up all of the ownership today on DraftKings. Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Shohei Ohtani, all projected for right around 50% ownership. Over on FanDuel, kind of a similar story. 23% for Garrett Cole, 29% for Max Fried, 20% for Shohei Ohtani. What we do with those 3 pitchers is probably going to be what makes or breaks the slate. Because some of the guys beyond that, there's reason to consider some other pitchers. We need salary savings going cheaper. But by and large part, what happens with those 3 pitchers probably determines everything.
Well, has anything changed for you this morning? Because I feel like I'm going to be a broken record. I'm going to say the same thing. Garrett Cole is my priority. Shohei Ohtani is the most underpriced pitcher on the slate. 8,100 is a joke. Those 2 are clear cut for me, and Max Fried falls by the wayside. I believe you're on board with that take. Even with Max Fried garnering the most attention of everybody, what plan am I on? Give me the other 2. Greg, has anything changed for you?
From this morning, it's hard. I can't even remember exactly everything we'd said this morning, but looking at the numbers, not really. It seems like everything is more or less the same. Have you seen a pitch count anywhere on Steven Strasburg?
Well, for FanDuel purposes, for everybody playing over on the blue side today, that is where you're going to be a little bit concerned. I will say Oddsshopper, shout out Oddsshopper. Steven Strasburg was a guy
that I featured for Prize Picks purposes. 3.5 was a low number to be looking at in terms of strikeouts. I don't think they would throw him out there to throw 70 pitches. Like, that's just my opinion. He's been built up. They've taken their time getting him back up to speed. It's still a Washington Nationals team, not really going places, but I don't see any reason that he wouldn't be throwing more than 80.
Yeah. So wait, you don't see any reason he wouldn't be throwing more than 80?
Yeah, right from the get-go here. I mean, they talked about building him back up. 83 pitches was his last thing that he threw in the rehab start. So why would he be under 80 pitches for this start?
Yeah, no. So I'm on the same page as you. And I was going to bring up a betting angle to this also, but the odds have moved a ton since I put out my MLB betting video earlier today. Because earlier we were able to get Steven Strasburg at plus 135 to have over 4.5 strikeouts. It's minus 120 now. So that's changed a whole bunch. But yeah, just those minor league starts. And I don't know where Steven Strasburg's at health-wise now. He hasn't even been good when he's pitched the last couple of years. But I do feel like he's kind of getting a little bit overlooked and undervalued at this point. I guess that's something we didn't really talk too much about earlier today that I think does warrant a little bit more thought now. But beyond that, I don't think too much else changed. I'm a little more bullish on Strasburg.
Yeah, we gave a lot of attention. We knew there were going to be 2 more hours of content here in the afternoon. So we gave a lot of attention to the early slate, talked through that one pretty intricately, and we flew and just got in by the hair of our chinny chins with the main slate. But yeah, I'm with you. FanDuel, not something we talked about, specifically the Strasburg situation this morning, but I'm playing a little bit on both sites. I do have over, let's see, I have 8% Steven Strasburg, but I just find it so concentrated, just like the field does. How do you get away from playing at the top Cole and Ohtani?
Well, so I think the way you get away from Ohtani is by also playing Max Fried. I mean, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Also, I really like the Red Sox as a leverage stack. That's something I haven't totally decided what I'm going to do with my single entry lineups today, but I'm thinking about going towards Boston just because I think Ohtani is going to be like 80% owned in single entry and Boston's going to have 0 ownership. So I think that's probably the pivot I'm going to make. Not totally sold on that yet, though. But of the guys on the high end, I definitely like Cole the best. I think I like Ohtani the second best, but I still like stacking against Ohtani also just because he's so high variance. There's so much that goes on with Ohtani in terms of, you'll get these starts where he's totally unhittable, then he sucks the next time out, and he's going to be ridiculously popular today. So I think he's the widest range of outcomes of any of the 3 pitchers.
I mean, he's got a 4 ERA, 1.16 whip. It's not like he's unhittable, ungettable. So I'm with you where you can definitely have some of those on the other side, but he's also somebody I'm just going to probably play in more than 50% of lineups on DK, on FanDuel, where you have Garrett Cole more expensive. We just talked a little bit about getting to some Strasburg, but it's a pretty concentrated board for me. And Max Fried garnering so much attention that it's pretty easy for me to hit eject on him and just get up to Cole and Ohtani.
So you're not really gonna get up to Max Fried?
No, not like almost at all.
Yeah. So we're on. Are you stacking against Ohtani at all?
I sure am.
So then who ends up being the pitchers in some of your, because the Red Sox, here's what I found with my Red Sox lineups as I'm looking through them. And we don't have the Boston lineup yet. At least we didn't have the Boston lineup when we started the show a few minutes ago. I'm going to check to make sure that hasn't changed. I
mean, the Red Sox are a professional offense. They have professional hitters. Would it surprise anybody if Ohtani got, gave up a little bit of hard contact? I don't think it would surprise anybody, but he also just generates swings and misses at such a ridiculous clip from time to time where, like, I don't know how you get away from 8,100 Ohtani in a majority of your lineups. That's the way I look at it for DK purposes. And then FanDuel, because Max Fried's so popular, give me Ohtani there. I can get even more exposure. I don't have to play him in like 80% of DK lineups. I can get some Ohtani, be over 17% on FanDuel, and I can just find some paths to get there. But at the same time, yeah, especially with Xander Bogaerts, who I thought was going to be out for a little while. I thought he got hit on the hand or something, and he ended up being in the lineup right off the bat yesterday. He's going to be in it again today. I mean, it's just a professional offense top to bottom.
Yeah, so I still get Max Fried and Garrett Cole in most of my Red Sox stacks as the 2 pitchers. So to me, if I'm stacking Boston, which I'm kind of leaning towards making my most rostered stack today, If that is going to be the case, then I just don't find it. I'm not finding it hard to fit Fried and Cole in with those stacks.
Yeah, I'm going Pivetta. I think that's probably the guy that I'm a little bit higher on for DK purposes. I'm going through a couple of my Red Sox, and I have. Oh, okay. Yeah, I've got primarily Nick Pivetta. I'm undercutting Max Fried in a pretty prominent way.
Let's see. So, I mean, in terms of also my pitching exposure, I still don't really get a ton outside of Fried, Cole, and Ohtani. Just Cole number one for me. And then once again, I'm stacking more against Ohtani than I am the other ones, but just because the top stack tools are really showing that as a positive leverage spot. And once again, I'm not guaranteeing Ohtani is good or that Ohtani is going to be bad this year. I just think there's a really wide range of outcomes here, and people are not stacking Boston.
That's
2%,
more than
2% owned.
Yeah, it's absurd. That's the wrong thing to do on a 5-game slate of MLB DFS. Taking perhaps, other than the Yankees, the best offense off the board. Boston's the second best. Would you agree with that? Atlanta, in some capacity. Just straight up pitcher independent.
Yeah, probably. I mean, a fully loaded Twins offense isn't bad, but Red Sox probably second. They had a slow start to the year. I would say the Angels if healthy, but when are the Angels ever going to be healthy? Yeah, the Angels are healthy for the first month of the season, and then everything goes to shit. And people are like, how come the Angels are no good? Well, Mike Trout's hurt, Rendon's hurt, the pitching sucks. It's the same story every year.
You know why? Because Jordan Clyde wore that Cleveland hat. And since he wore that Cleveland hat, I tell you what's happened. His Angels have punished. They have suffered as a result. It is all on you. That blood is on your hands. Jordan Klein, shout out, best producer in the game named Jordan Klein. Also, ironically, the worst producer in the game named Jordan Klein. We continue on. Other pitchers that are not these guys. Cole, Fried, Ohtani. Guess what? They're all good plays. Make your stands. I just don't want to play Max Fried where he's got a 22.1% K percentage. And I think just the other two pitchers could just destroy you and bury you. Please, God, don't let him be the one who burns me. But there are other guys to get to. Nick Pivetta, Connor Pilkington, if that fancies you. Anything else from the pitcher board that you're really wanting to get over the field on?
I was Googling producers named Jordan Klein. There's a few of them out there, actually. There's some competition. This guy, he's on IMDb. Jordan Klein Jr., so it's probably Jordan's son. Legendary aerial and aquatic cinematographer and owner of Jordan Klein Film and Video.
He is the new number one. There's no way. Aquatic cinematographer?
Yeah, that's what it says here.
Sorry. Bye-bye.
Jordan Klein Jr.
Number 2 on the list immediately. Continue on.
So in terms of other pitchers, which I'm not mistaken, that's what you were asking me about.
Mm-hmm.
I really am finding it hard to back anybody else with any kind of real certainty. And first, this is going to be for DraftKings purposes. FanDuel, we do have a couple extra pitchers that are in play. If you want to take a stab on Steven Strasburg at $8,200 at 2% ownership on FanDuel, I think that makes sense. I don't think he's going to be as limited as maybe other people think. And the other thing also, Trevor Rogers is $7,400 on FanDuel. So both of those guys, I think, are under-owned options we go to on FanDuel. We don't have them on DK. So just so we cover the bases, do you have anything, because we can't talk about them on both sites, Strasburg, Rogers, I would like both of them on DK. They're just not available to us. Do you mind them as cheap pitching options on FanDuel?
Strasburg and Rogers. Yeah, Strasburg on FanDuel. That's fine. I had this vomit that showed up in my throat, mainly because, did you just see the Red Sox lineup that came out?
Is this going to be bad?
Just look at it.
Am I going to not want to, before I look at it, is this going to make me not want to stack them?
Yeah, it's going to make you not want to stack them.
Oh, no.
No Story, no Xander. We are talking top to bottom. One of the worst things I've ever seen. Arroyo, Devers, Martinez, Verdugo, Vasquez, batting 5th, Cordero, Bradley Jr., Dahlbeck, and Arouse. I am not aroused by that lineup. I can tell you that much.
I mean, it's not ideal, but I mean, they still got Devers, Martinez, Verdugo is a good hitter in the middle of the order.
No Kiki, no Story, no Xander. Our pets' heads are falling off.
It's not great. It's not great.
Dude.
This is tough because I was really starting to feel like the Red Sox for single entry was the way to go. Like, I thought that was such a good single entry play.
Not the way to go today.
And
this is not the way, in the words of the anti-Mandalorian.
This is not the way. Per the Landalorian. Oh my God. All right.
Oh man. I love when we build joke on joke on joke, like little fucking Legos. It's great stuff. It's good entertainment.
Well, the wheels are spinning in my head too, because this fucks up all my lineups. Like everything I wanted to do today it's gone.
Well, you do that. As of everybody, great Awesemo Plus Platinum Passes available right now using promo code MLB Live. Hey, all caps, one word, MLB Live. Do you want everything we have behind the paywall? Today, we're going to give you for free, because we're nice people, the MLB player projections. But if you want all of it, the whole smorgasbord, if you want NBA, if you want NASCAR, if you want golf, this is the way to do it. 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum using promo code MLB Live. If you want to help us fend off the sex bots, you have to help us, and you have to invest in MLB Live promo code. Get this free month, well, not free, 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Stop guessing, start winning, and join us here at Awesemo Plus today. That is what we are today. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens here in the future. Could be.
I mean, at this point, why? I mean, my favorite stack just went down the drain. You know, it's tempting, because it's like, what do I want to do about the baseball slate? And then you get tempting messages coming to the YouTube chat. There was a new one earlier that was exciting. This is just disappointing.
I will say,
I have. By the way, I have to like Ohtani more than Garrett Cole now.
Oh yeah, I do too. I mean, I didn't expect this. I didn't expect. Kiki, do you love me? Are you riding? No, I'm not riding with your team. They're bad. I tried.
So Hernandez is on the injured list, right? So he's going to be out. Xander Bogaerts, I guess maybe his hand is sore from the other day. But
Probably.
Then the other thing also, Story also being out. You don't want to say this is a punt game for Boston, because it's not like they rested everybody, but this is clearly not their A lineup they're throwing out there.
Everybody who had cheap sex dating plus 8,000. Take your tickets to the window. 80-1 comes through. Congratulations. Huge
You missed the one from before.
What was it?
There was one as soon as we started.
Oh, was there? What was it?
Oh, no, it was a new one. It was exciting. It was
cheap sex streamer recommends. No, we did not.
Yeah, see there. Yeah, really. I have to say, I appreciate that we've got the sex bot showing up, because any way we could get an extra viewer or two, it's appreciated in my book. But don't put words in my mouth. Don't put anything. Well, I don't want to speak out of turn.
Can I put JT Brubaker in your mouth? That'd be great. JT Brubaker's season. I'm sorry, Jordan. Just talk to me. I love his over of 4.5 strikeouts today against Atlanta. There's strikeouts to be had in Atlanta. They're really popular. I think I might want some JT Brubaker. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, well, Ohtani's my favorite pitcher now. I was trying to find some leverage off of him. It's not the lineup I thought it was going to be.
You paused for a second. I can't deal with any more of this heartbreak, Greg Ehrenberg. I can't deal with it. Anything else that we have from a pitching perspective? Because I mean, we're just going to jam Ohtani, and it's not. Do you have any? We'll get to stacks here in a second, because I'm updating everything here. We have plenty of time. I don't know what else we could possibly do to talk about these pitchers more. I would rather punch myself in the face than roster Chris Bubich. I would rather punch myself in the face than roster James Caprillion. I can't imagine I will get to any Dylan Bundy. He's 8,800 on DraftKings.com. No, thank you. Jordan Lyles? Maybe Jordan Lyles can be a guy for us. No? Yes?
No,
maybe?
no. If I'm rostering any pitcher who isn't the core guys on DK right now, the guy that I'm going to get to the most is going to be Pilkington, just because he draws the Oakland A's.
Connor Pilkington from Downton Abbey.
He's a fancy man. He drinks his tea with a pinky up in the air, and he's going to score us like 13 fantasy points today. What's not to love?
Yeah. There's nothing. His name's Connor Pilkington. Connor with a K for strikeouts. See? We should have known all along.
But I can't believe we're getting Shane Hall asking, how can Ohtani bat and pitch? Are you new to the Shohei Ohtani show? This has been I'll say it's news to DraftKings and FanDuel, but he just does it.
June 9th, 2022, 2.5 years later. Welcome to the program. Welcome.
Butthole Jenkins, 300 likes and Eric Lindquist will punch himself in the face. I'll do it for 8 likes.
That's not very nice. It's pretty aggressive, actually.
9?
How
6?
How about this? If we get to 400 likes, the first time, not a handshake, but you get to slap me in the face to introduce yourself to me.
I actually don't want to do that though.
400 likes.
With
the very
my
first
hand?
time we meet in person. Yeah, you get to just go
Okay.
whack. Just open-handed whack for 400 likes. Instead of a handshake, and we'll put it on Twitter for the people to know that it's confirmed, but we want these Thursday shows to take off. We want you all to enjoy yourself. It's going to be hard to get there, but not many people in your life that is how you get to introduce yourself. 400 likes seems appropriate for such a thing.
Yeah, once again, I think the bar should be lower, but I could get behind it.
400 likes. If you guys want to see some MMA combat between Craig Ehrenberg and myself come the end of July, so be it.
I'll get Alex will be in my corner giving me advice the entire time on form and whatnot and how to approach it. You know, I want to make sure I'm getting really good combat advice from somebody who's killed multiple men with his bare hands.
That is the boss man Baker, baby. They don't call him boss man for nothing. All right. I don't really think there's much else to talk about. Pitching, play the guys we talked about. Don't play some of the filth at the bottom, and we move on with the day. Let's talk stacks, because now it gets interesting. I think the Yankees, for me, same thing as this morning, clearly the number one on my end. I know Atlanta, they're projecting it well. I think J2 Brubaker is a decent enough pitcher, but there's definitely something to be said about this Atlanta lineup, something to be said about the game environment. It's over 80 degrees there, only spot. Well, KC Baltimore, wind blowing out 80 degrees as well. But still, we know summer in Atlanta, hot Atlanta, if you will. Gotta tell you, I prefer the Yankees pretty strongly between the two. But amongst the two most popular offenses, Yankees or Braves?
Let me refer. The Braves are not that popular unless there's been an ownership update.
16.4% top stack percentage, 13.2%. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, they're lower than Kansas City, Cleveland, Baltimore. That's true. So is Atlanta the answer?
Yes. So At least now on DK, we have Atlanta with the second best top stack odds, but they are the fifth most popular offense. Over on FanDuel, we have Atlanta currently as a little bit more popular, the third most popular offense, but still have the number one top stack odds. So they're going to be more popular on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings. They're also a little more expensive on FanDuel than they are on DraftKings relatively. But starting with talking about DK, the priority stacks, I think it's going to be Braves number one for me. Just like what I said before, I really wanted to back the Boston Red Sox for leverage off of Shohei Ohtani. I can't do that nearly as much now that we have that lineup that just came out, though.
This is the nice part about having live before locks back in our life post NBA is we would have never had the gratification of having that lineup hit live. And it is one of the things that's just truly disgusting about some Thursday baseball slates. Sometimes it's Sunday where a lot of guys will take a day off, but Thursdays and Sundays tend to have some weird stuff that shows up from time to time. That is probably the worst Boston lineup we've seen all year.
I tend to think there's probably been worse, but maybe I don't remember all of Boston, right? Because I'm sure there's been a day where, they didn't have Devers in or Xander. Remember how much Story sucked to start the year.
Yeah, no, he really sucked big balls. What? I'm sorry. I'm just saying he did.
I'm also just thinking because Carlos Manzo, earlier in chat said, why does Eric think any of us want to see him get slapped in the face? Here's the answer. Eric wants Eric to get slapped in the face. This has nothing to do with your guys' wants, needs, or desires. This is all about what Eric wants.
This is what Daddy needs.
Yeah,
Daddy
exactly.
needs it.
Exactly.
You're my work, Daddy.
Yeah, it's not going to be comfortable for me when I do it once, then he asks me to do it again. That's when that's when I'm going to get uncomfortable.
I'm a man of symmetry. When you go whack, you got to come back with the other hand. Give me a bowl so I can have wings on the side of my face.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it, and it'll be like, oh, is that good content? Eric's gonna go, no, do it again, but do it harder, and all of us will be uncomfortable.
All right, we're back to doing a professional show. So we like Atlanta. We like the Yankees. I don't really even know what to add as far as the Yankees go. Aaron Judge is just stupid good. You should all go to prizepicks.com and take the over of DJ LeMahieu, which he's plus 500. Who cares? Aaron Judge is plus 185 to hit a home run. Anthony Rizzo plus 300 is kind of the prevailing number. You can go to Oddsshopper. You can cross-reference home run odds, see the expected ROI, expected win percentage. I'm curious about expected win percentage as a Prize Picks player myself, having the opportunity to use promo code Awesemo, getting $100 first match deposit bonus and signing up over there. but play the over of home runs up against just the trash of Dylan Bundy. I can't believe he's 8,800 on this slate. It's hilarious. But Aaron Judge, what a shocker. He could be going yard today. What analysis by me. Well, let's move down the rest of the board here, my friend. We've got other stacks to talk about. And a couple of the value teams, Baltimore, same thing this morning. They have just vaulted up my board throughout the day. Chris Bubich, going through some of his numbers. It is, pitiful what we're seeing from Chris Bubich. A 50% hard hit percentage with a 660 expected slugging. I thought that was a typo. It is not. He walks dudes at a 15% clip. He strikes out fewer than that, 14.3% K percentage. What's not to like about Baltimore? I love them. Any other value stacks you might have interest in?
I mean, it's really hard to not say the Orioles are the top one, especially because the ownership is lower than what it was when you and I did the show together earlier today. And Bubich just is terrible. His numbers this year, there's nothing redeeming about it. He has a 9.33 ERA, a 9.1 expected ERA. He made a stint in the minor leagues. He made 3 starts, pitched 13 innings, and had a 6.59 ERA in the minor leagues. This guy's the nut low. This is the worst pitcher in baseball right now. So it's really hard to not consider the Orioles. Even as a secondary stack, they also make a ton of sense. They put out a lineup where there's a lot of really cheap hitters in it. Taylor Nevin is batting 6th, I believe. He's super cheap on both FanDuel and DraftKings. And then just across the board, it's, Austin Hayes, Ryan Mountcastle, Santander, like I said, Tyler Nevin, Rougned Odor. He has some power upside. It's a very cheap lineup, and you just play anything you want if you play Oriole stacks, and they're not crazy high owned. And as bad as Bubich has been, Bubich has been numbers defyingly bad because you can't project somebody to have a 9 or an 8 ERA. But all of the numbers indicate this is what his ERA should be so far this year. So, yeah, if you want to pay up for 2 pitchers and do it comfortably, you stack the Orioles and you're good to go.
I would agree with that. I think they are my favorite value team to be getting to. I still prefer the Yankees. If you're talking about one lineup to rule them all and one lineup to find them, I laughed because Frank Castle didn't he say nut load as opposed to nut low? I'm only going to hear that from now on. This is a wacky show already. I'm not.
Let me go. Where was this? Did you say that, or did I say that? No, or was it somebody else?
You said nut low, and he heard nut load.
Listen, some people hear what they want. We've got Timothy Beechler, aka Screaming Eagle. Eric makes 5,000 different voices during a show. Also, Eric says he doesn't have an annoying voice on Twitter. Well, here's the thing. Nobody knows what Eric sounds like. He has 5,000 different voices and personalities, and none of them are Eric Lindquist.
It's kind of true. I'm just, when I'm at home, I'm like, Melanie, hey, honey, how are you? How are you? I'm well, thank you.
You're like somebody just had a lobotomy done?
Mm-hmm. My head hurts. What would you like for dinner?
But I don't know if anybody noticed that, but there was some way you were just talking right now where your mouth wasn't moving as if you were doing a ventriloquist act.
What you're talking about. I can't do that.
No, you did it before.
I can do it sometimes. It depends.
No, you're doing a little bit there.
It comes and goes. Oh, it's
one of those bad vaudeville
saying
acts.
M's is impossible. Saying the word like the M's are the things about ventriloquists that impress me most. Because as soon as you just say me, how do you not say me without your lips pursing?
I mean, to me, have you ever seen a ventriloquist you thought was funny though?
No.
Like
never.
what's the famous the famous guy?
Ahmed the terrorist, the guy who does that one.
Yeah, either way though, none of it, and it's all stuff.
Jeff Dunham. Got it.
Jeff Dunham,
my brain.
And it's all they do the same kind of hacky kind of act where it's like you're a dummy. No, you're the dummy, and it's just they're terrible. I've never seen an entertaining act before that's been a ventriloquist.
Well, I was trying to do the best that I could, trying to bring some happiness to your lives, because guess what? We're here for another 35 minutes, and I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be entertaining. We might have to just throw I don't know, like a party or do something. I might have to have my wife deliver me wine. I might do that.
Oh,
3:30. No, it's 3:30. I can't do that. That's way too aggressive.
You should. Well, you could always text her and ask her if she needs to print anything out.
Yeah, she'll just walk in anyway. We know what she needs to print off. Restraining order. Here you go. Let's continue on, shall we? Any other stacks? Because Boston laughably off the board. I will say, I think I'm still going to roster some JD Martinez. I think play the guys who are actual hitters maybe and try to find some lineups. There's only 5 games. And, would it really surprise you having some Verdugo clean up there, 4,100? It's not a great feeling. Cordero, 3,300. It's not a great feeling. I can tell you one thing. I will not be playing a 7-hole Jackie Bradley. Otherwise, I will just quit life. But how are we feeling about some of these other spots on the board? Because Oakland was a team I had a lot more interest on earlier, finding myself necessarily having to get to a little bit of Pilkington on the other side. But I'm just landing on so much Baltimore with them being underutilized. Any other teams that you really think you want to get to?
By the way, Nelson Cruz was just scratched.
Oh, yeah, 6 minutes. 6 minutes.
For anybody who's playing on, let me see if we have a new lineup to read off as well. Yeah. All I saw was that.
Why don't we do this? Because this is a good way.
Oh, there we go. Here we go. No, we're good. I just the Washington Wizards lineup. It just came in. It is.
I saw that earlier. That was hilarious.
It is Thomas, Adrianza, Soto, Bell, Franco, Hernandez, Adams, Garcia, Robles. But this is another really terrible lineup. So, in terms of just the FanDuel slate, Trevor Rogers, who I understand that he was really good last year and has been massively disappointing this year. Last year, runner-up to the Rookie of the Year behind Jonathan India. This could be a get-right spot for Trevor Rogers, who is all the same stuff he had last year. Fastball velocity is exactly the same. The results just haven't quite been there. If he could work himself around Juan Soto today, I think that he could really stand out as a value option on FanDuel that nobody's going to roster.
Is it Cesar or Yadiel that I need to add to my pool? There's 2 Hernandezes.
Oh, Yadiel. But okay. I don't remember if he was in the lineup or not to begin with.
He was not. And it had to be one of the 2. And you said Hernandez. Okay. And I was like,
yeah, you're right. Shit. Yeah. Yadiel Hernandez was not in the lineup before. Okay. And now he's DHing and batting 6th.
I'm hand editing these. Adrianza, he's still batting 2nd, correct? I'm trying to do this across multiple spots. There we go. Refresh. Done. All right. I got it figured out on my end. We've got 4 minutes here until the FanDuel lock. That'll be kind of a fun game. Maybe we can watch a little bit of that live. F it. We'll do it live. Still so mad at Mookie Betts. Same thing with Acuna yesterday. How do they not get over 1.5 total bases as the leadoff studs on their baseball teams? And finally, this Washington lineup shows up on my screen. There we go. But how do they not get over 1.5 total bases in double-digit schlackings?
All I know is I have been on a great run of winning bad bets as of late. I have had things that I win for all of the wrong reasons. The Pittsburgh Pirates the other day, I bet them because Tyreek Skubal got scratched, and then Skubal gets unscratched, and they end up hitting the over on the runs anyway. And DK had pulled, because that's a position I would have liked to have just gotten out of, just cashed it out, taking my money back, and be like, okay, I didn't bet on the thing I was. But what happened is after Skubal got scratched and the game went into rain delay, the line just got pulled for the game. So there was nothing that existed anymore, which means you're just stuck with the bets there. And I just rode with it, and then the Pirates hit all their lines anyway. So it's not about getting the good bet, Eric. Apparently you just bet on random shit sometimes. You don't know what you're betting on, and then it just goes your way.
Sounds like me every day ending in Y. Go me. I'm looking at... Am I going to get to Trevor Rogers? I'm not going to, because Nelson Cruz, if you do like the career sample size, if you're doing it, depending on what sample size you're going to kind of use. It's obviously a decrease. You play him against a lefty. I feel like that's always going to be something I'm interested in. But like Yadiel Hernandez is all right to me. I'm not saying it's a 1-for-1, but I still don't want to play Trevor Rogers on FanDuel, right?
No, I like Trevor Rogers on FanDuel.
Oh, shit. Okay, because I'm getting to a little bit of him as I'm uploading my stuff. I don't want to, but I think I'm going to. There you go. 4%. Done.
Yeah. So he is the cheapest starter that I'm willing to play on FanDuel. The guy's priced below him: Dylan Bundy, no. Chris Bubich, no. James Caprillion, go fuck yourself. So yeah, Trevor Rogers at 7,400, I think is pretty clearly the best cheap option that I'd be willing to go with there. So if you just want to play 2 really expensive stacks on FanDuel and build a lineup that's way different looking, because the ownership's going to be concentrated. We've got, just to read off now the updated ownership, 20% going to Colt, 34% for Max Fried up to now on FanDuel, and 17% for Ohtani. So, you've got those 3 pitchers are taking up most of the ownership at the spot. Anybody you play outside of that is somewhat contrarian. And I think Trevor Rogers and paying up for offense is not a bad way to go on FanDuel.
All right, I got everything. Yes, Nelson Cruz is out. Get him out of your lineup. Brian Underwood, I would just do a global swap at this point if you didn't get your lineups updated. Global swap, simply swap, go. We'll finish out stacks here in a second here. Everybody got their lineups in for FanDuel, I hope. But yeah, otherwise just swap to anybody that's not in that Miami and Washington game if you still don't have it updated. But it's Oddsshopper time. I got to talk some bets. You've been talking about these bad bets that you keep winning. The world's smallest violin for Greg, that's for sure. At the same time that everybody's going to hit the like button. We're only at 234 likes. Not enough people want to see me get hit in the face, apparently. So there's that. Hit that like button, y'all. Get it done. But it's Oddsshopper time. Oddsshopper, the best place to find bets in 30 seconds or less. All you do, you set up an email, any email account you got, sign up over there, over at Oddsshopper, and the projections will show up free for you every single day in MLB, NBA, NHL, and golf. Yeah, live golf, not operational yet. But, that's a whole different discussion. We've got great golf bets and great opportunities for you guys to go win money. So go take advantage of that at the beginning of the weeks here too. But MLB bets today, we've got Ohtani. You can't play him in DFS, but you know what you can do? You can sports bet with him. We have promotions all the time with all these books. Bet MGM, bet $10, get $200 back just using promo code Awesemo. That is as good as it can possibly get. Signing up at these books. Take advantage of these offers whenever you get an opportunity. It's literally on the page right there. Bet $10, win $200 when you wager on any MLB game. Simply go to claim, take advantage of that, and you can get your Ohtani exposure because it would really suck for him to hit a home run, 24% expected win percentage, 29% expected ROI, and not have the ability to capitalize on that. So do that going up against Nick Pivetta as much as I might like him against this offense. But Greg, are there any other bets that you've got your eye on that are buoyed by our friends over at Oddsshopper?
So one thing that's unfortunate is the bets that I did like don't exist anymore because the odds have moved. So I mentioned the one earlier, I like Steven Strasburg, but there's a massive difference between getting Steven Strasburg as an unknown for over 4.5 strikeouts at plus 130. I forget the lineup bet this morning is either plus 130 or plus 125. I don't remember it exactly off the top of my head, but it was one of those two. And the other one I really liked was Max Fried was minus 104 for over 5.5 strikeouts. That number is also gone. So the two bets that I like the most today don't really exist anymore. There's nothing else I really, really want to recommend to people. What about let's check Prize Picks. Maybe there's something for the people at Prize Picks.
Yeah. So JT Brubaker was at 3.5 strikeouts this morning. That has moved. There's no way that still is the case, because if it were, I can tell you one thing, I would have bet it. Yep, it's up to 4.5 now. It was at 3.5, 4. Bet him at both of those numbers. I hope you got in, because now we've got him for 5.5. We had him at 5.1 earlier today. So obviously the Atlanta lineup, looking at it, it's kind of looks like the standard Atlanta lineup that we've seen here for a while. But at the same time that they have a ton of potency, they do have some strikeouts available to you, starting off with Acuna, so on and so forth. Let me pull up the exact numbers here because it's only Ozzy Albies that has a sub 21.8% K percentage. He's down at 17.1. You have Riley, Swanson, Acuna, and Duvall. That's 1, 2, 3, and 8 hitters in the lineup. That's going to be a lot of opportunities to possibly get a couple of whiffs in the strikeout department here for JT Brubaker, a pitcher that I've always liked a little bit more than the norm. So JT Brubaker over 4.5. I still think for Prize Picks purposes, it's still a bettable number. I think in sports books, 15% expected ROI, I think that's decent enough. So that's the first pitcher that exists on the board, I think appropriately so.
There's also, because I have Prize Picks open right now, Jason Tatum for tomorrow. Have you looked at his points prop?
Yeah, 0.5. You should go bet that. It's free money. Promo code Awesemo. Hey, $100 first match deposit bonus. I'm telling you, these things, I'm not saying them to hear them myself because I know that they exist, but I'm saying them to you because you get free money in your account instantly, and that's how you build a bankroll. I used promo code Awesemo at Prize Picks. You know what I've done since then? Made a lot of money on Prize Picks. So take that $100 and put it to good use using promo code Awesemo. You'll also get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. I'm interested in such things, so check it out. Eric, give us your dong for the night. No, I tell you when I give my dong. No, let's continue.
Is this going to go back? Is this going to go back to me opening my mouth again? Like, I don't know that we need to rehash all of that.
We might need to rehash it a lot. Let's go to the rest of the board, my friend. Looking at any other plays, any other stacks we want to get to before we go position by position. No jokes, just serious. That's what we're going to do. Anything else that you want to get to from a stack perspective?
Yeah, so let's get on over to the stacks. We haven't really talked about stacks all that much today. At the high end, the Atlanta Braves, and now I think we could just kind of focus on the DK side of things because the FanDuel slate is already locked. But the key to me for the FanDuel, not that it matters to people, but trying to get some exposure to Trevor Rogers after that Nationals lineup came out. But now talking about the stacks for today, I feel pretty good about saying the Braves are my number one favorite stack now. Would have been the Boston Red Sox had that lineup not been the lineup it is. But when it comes to the Atlanta Braves, they have 13% projected ownership. We got 14% going to the Yankees. So the Yankees a little more popular, but we have a little bit higher of top stack odds on the Braves. So that has me lean towards them a little bit. The Orioles make a whole bunch of sense as a lower owned option. Then there's a couple teams I like to avoid relative to their ownership. The Cleveland Guardians against James Caprillion and the Kansas City Royals against Jordan Lyles. Not to say it's terrible spots for those offenses. They're just so popular. These are the two most popular offenses on the slate. And the top stack odds just don't indicate they should be as popular as they are. The Royals, 19% ownership, 10% chance to be this top scoring team, 17% to the Guardians with a 12% chance to be a top scoring team. Those are my two least favorite teams to get to on the slate. Are you doing anything different with them?
No, I mean, it's the same thing. Kansas City, you need to be hitting eject on a little bit. It's hard to not want to have some interest in getting to like Melendez at a catcher position or outfield eligible now as well. I mean, we have so much attention, like at least in my mind, going towards Sal Perez and numbers backing it up. I'm just trying to get it updated here. There we go. 18.9% ownership going to Sal Perez. MJ Melendez at basically equal opportunity. Hard to not want to click on Perez, especially now that I'm going to be playing even more Ohtani. He's currently in 85% of my lineups, and I think that that's probably going to hold pat. And so that's a lot more of him than I've got of Cole. Not going to have the money to get up to as much Sal Perez, but MJ Melendez for 1,100 less definitely comes in a little bit of handy at the catcher position. We'll go position by position here in a second, but I'm on board with that where there just aren't a lot of Kansas City bats that I feel like I'm missing out on by not having.
Yeah, no, and once again, like they have okay top stack odds and they're cheap, but do I want to play the Royals with 19% ownership and a 10% chance to be a top stack? Or do I want to play the Baltimore Orioles against that terrible Chris Bubich when they're 15% owned with 13% chance to be a top stack and are also much cheaper? So like the Orioles, 16% chance to be the top value stack on the slate, really high odds. So on any of those kind of, lesser offenses and good matchups, the Orioles are just by far the priority.
I agree with you. Let me get this updated here too. I don't know what happened. That Michael Harris just went from being in 0 of my lineups to like 80%, but I don't want that because
seems like a lot of him.
That seems like more than you want of a 9-hole hitter from Atlanta, but watch him put up 35 and I'm going to wish I did like something moronic, like keep that. That's how it works. I think we talked about the stacks we want to get to. Just to recap, favorite 3 stacks on the board for you today.
All right. So favorite 3 stacks, the Braves, the Orioles, and the Yankees. There's none of these contrarian teams that I could really get to at any kind of like crazy clip. The Boston Red Sox, I like Devers and JD Martinez as one-offs in lineups that don't have Shohei Ohtani, but I don't really have that much interest making 5-man stacks anymore. The Oakland A's, I rarely make 5-man stacks of them. The Angels against Pivetta, maybe, but here's the issue. Shohei Ohtani's pitching. You can't roster Ohtani as a hitter. That's a massive drawback. So I don't really want to stack up the Angels in that spot. And then you got the Twins against Garrett Cole, the Pirates against Max Fried. None of that's appealing. So I really don't think there's too much I like from a stacking purpose outside of the Braves, the Yankees, and the Orioles.
All right. Well, we still have 22 minutes here left in the program, but it's position by position time. Guess we'll just kind of make ourselves some lineups. Are we leaving at, what time are we out? 7 or is it 7:10? Jordan Klein, you tell me. Yeah, 7 o'clock. I give the people a buffer to make their lineups, I would assume. I mean, it's already kind of getting to the point. We have every lineup in. We've had it for a while, but let's go position by position. Then we'll take some questions. We'll kind of go all the way up till lock. Whenever people get done asking us things, we will get ourselves out of here. But let's start at the catcher position. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So right now at catcher, I'm getting to a lot of Sean Murphy because he's cheap and batting fourth for the Oakland A's. One of the only hitters in the lineup that is not totally terrible. The catching options today leave a lot to be desired. Salvador Perez, I also think is a pretty good option, but he's also massively popular. So relative to ownership, the guy that I like the most here is Sean Murphy.
Colin Richardson. Okay. That sounds great. Enjoy that. That is a comment. Do people know when they put comments in the world that we like read them and that you say weird stuff? It's pretty weird. It's a weird thing to come into chat and say on a Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just factual information that he's posted as well. He's just
first base. Jose Trevino, my
FAX.
guy that I want. Yeah. Fax machine. Everybody spew the chat with fax machines. It's fine. Ryan Mountcastle, Tyler Nevin. Never say Nevin. That was Justin Bieber. Go ahead. First base.
All right. So first base. What was your answer, catcher?
Well, I already said Jose Trevino. You don't listen to me. It's fine.
I didn't realize that. But that's the one you have the most exposure to, Jose Trevino.
I have the most Jose Trevino. I don't know. What do you want from me?
I don't know, to roster better hitters. So at first base.
Do you want me to roster Christian Bethancourt? What?
No,
you have so much popularity going to Sal Perez and MJ Melendez. I have like 40% Yankee stacks. I don't know what you want from me.
Fair enough.
How do I play Ohtani, Cole, and Yankee stacks without playing Jose Trevino or Aaron Hicks? Riddle me that, Batman.
Well, I didn't realize you were playing 40% Yankee stacks.
I am.
All right. First base, that is Matt Olson for me. I like the Braves quite a bit. So the two first basemen I get the most of, it is if I'm paying up, it's Matt Olson. If I'm going cheap, it's Ryan Mountcastle.
Yeah, it's Anthony Rizzo, Izzo, A. It's not the right song, but it's fine.
Can I guess who I bet DJ LeMahieu is your most rostered second baseman.
You're learning so quickly. Yeah, DJ LeMahieu, Ozzy Albies, Andres Jimenez. Beautiful stuff. Second base for you. Look at this. Greg, you're all grown up. You're learning all of my tricks.
Yep. So I like DJ LeMahieu quite a bit at second base. Ozzy Albies as well. Although with that said, Albies I tend to roster more against left-handed pitching than against right-handed pitching. He also hits lower in the order often against righties. So I do like LeMahieu, and there isn't really anybody else that I get like as a really high priority second baseman. I think LeMahieu is the pretty clear cash option.
Team McP saying Trevino's easy to avoid on FanDuel. Yeah, because you can do that. I'm playing DraftKings primarily here after we covered the FanDuel slate. I'm not going to go back and redo anything on the FanDuel stuff. For FanDuel purposes, Anthony Rizzo, my highest owned first baseman. That should surprise nobody. And then catcher, I don't really have a lot of them. I have a little Christian Bethancourt and Travis d'Arnaud. There you go. But we continue on to second base. Did you just do that and I wasn't listening? Of course you did.
LeMahieu.
Cool. LeMahieu and Torres were tricky, actually. And then third base, we've got Mr. Jose Ramirez coming into the mix as well, alongside all of the norms. We'll say don't play. Yeah, it's fine. Go ahead. Talk to me about it.
I mean, Tyler Nevin is almost free, and he's not all that popular. Obviously, we like the matchup against Chris Bubich, so Tyler Nevin makes sense. If you're looking to get contrarian at third base, Rafi Devers, I think, makes a lot of sense as a one-off in lineups that don't have Ohtani.
All right, to the shortstop we go, and Isaiah Kiner Fluffa, not my highest owned shortstop. Can you guess who it is?
Dansby Swanson.
That is the correct answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Swanson, also somebody I get to a good amount. Beyond him, though,
it's really spread out at shortstop for me. Today.
Yeah, I don't have a single shortstop rostered more than. So Dansby Swanson comes up as my most rostered shortstop at 14%.
Yeah, I had 21, and yeah, that's my highest owned. Jorge Mateo, 14%. I don't believe he's going to be 14%. Do you?
Could be. He's been hitting the ball really well. Well, he homered yesterday. I was going to say he's hitting the ball as late. I just saw him in an optimal lineup yesterday, so I assumed that was the case. But no, he just homered yesterday. Other than that, when was the last time he had a hit before yesterday?
I don't know. What happened yesterday is going to be what happens today. That's how sports works, right?
Yeah, well, yesterday was his first hit of June, and he homered.
Oh, that's bad. Well,
But anyway, yeah, Mateo's probably not going to be overly popular, but I mean, the Orioles make a lot of sense as value. Did you ask another question or just about Mateo's ownership?
just listening to you talk, it's beautiful. It makes me happy. I could cry.
Thank you.
Yep, outfield we go. Round this all out for me. Help the people. Where do they go in the outfield? I will say I do have one contrarian. We'll get to our home run picks to round out the show, but I've got one guy that I'm going to be playing quite a bit as a one-off, and I don't think there's no way we've talked about him yet.
So outfield, the chalk options, Aaron Judge and Ronald Acuna, they make a whole lot of sense. I have no issues with either of them as being chalky guys. The other thing too is, the other pay up options on the slate. I don't want to pay $5,600 for Max Kepler against Garrett Cole. JD Martinez, if you're paying up to be contrarian, I think there's reason to roster him at 5,100. But by and large part, I think the ownership on Acuna and Judge makes a lot of sense because what else are you doing to pay up for at outfield? There's 3 pay up outfielders on DraftKings, and one of them's Max Kepler at 5,600. So Judge and Acuna, I kind of find to be unavoidable. Moving down, let's see, who do I get to? Benintendi is going to be a little bit popular, but also I think that he makes sense. If I want to be a little bit more contrarian, somebody who's showing up in a lot of my laps you mentioned before, Michael Harris. So Michael Harris, if you just want a cheap Braves hitter that is not going to be popular, that also has a lot of speed and can get on base once and steal a base and make stuff happen. I mean, we've seen Michael Harris have a lot of upside because of the speed he has. 21 fantasy points last night, and then we saw him have a game with 17 fantasy points not long ago. And he hasn't hit a home run yet. So it's a lot of, like single, steal a base, hit a triple. So different stuff he can do with his legs, low owned and cheap. And he's at the end of the order, which also usually prohibits people from getting to him. But yeah, I think those are the guys. Oh, also Oscar Gonzalez hitting in the middle of the Guardians lineup at 2,200 price tag.
Yeah. Judge Acuna and Hicks Judge Acuna, Hicks for me. And then also Joey Gallo batting ninth. It's so fun having this guy. He's going to be low owned every single day just because he's batting ninth. Guess what? He's going to get 3 at bats probably. He's either going to hit a home run or he's not. Like, that's really fun. I think that's kind of a fun 9-hole hitter to be getting to. So that's always enjoyable. Stop looking at me, Kwan. That's a pretty good one too. Stephen Kwan is a one-off. I did that instead of Swan. That's the joke.
I know. I got it. I know. Somebody's going to post in chat and be like, it's Swan, not Kwan. Like, that's also the point.
Oh my God. Nobody on Baltimore. We're all on Baltimore, Colin Richardson, even though you say horrendous things and that are very strange. Yes, I will answer your question. I tell you what, I don't know what to do, Boston. I'm just thinking about removing everybody outside of JD Martinez, who I have 5% of. He's got like 1.9%. And Rafael Devers, anytime you can get him sub 10%, I think he's still got to have some against Ohtani.
Yeah, I mean, he's contrarian enough where actually, I like this. 8 game, he wants to know Eric's NHL play of the day. So if you guys want something you can put no stock into, Eric, tonight we have game 5 between the Rangers and the Lightning?
Yeah.
So I don't know any of the pricing. I don't know anything that's going on. I don't know any of the strategies for showdown contests. Does FanDuel even have single game contests for it?
Of course they do. I actually, I believe that was my free ticket today that they gave us for VIP, whatever the hell it is, whatever the tier it's in. Yeah, I have a $5,000 NHL contest for free. We just played Tampa Bay. Yes, I know they're going back to Madison Square Garden, tied up 2 apiece, but if you think Tampa Bay isn't going to be effective, if you think Tampa Bay is still going to not find a path to try to make this, back-to-back AAU national championships like the Fred Imansky videos, if you don't think that that's going to be what happens here, yes, that was a shout out that you got to respect and love. You have another thing coming. It's going to be Avs. It's going to be Lightning. I apologize. I know there's a lot of Rangers fans out there. I know there's a lot of you that want this to happen. It's not going to happen Kucherov night. Be prepared. In the words of Scar from Lion King, be prepared.
You know how to pronounce the Rangers goalie's name?
Isn't it Andre? What is his name? Vokolevsky.
Okay. So you're not
Vokolevsky. Andre Vokolevsky.
Okay. First of all, that's the Lightning goalie. Second of all, you were still way far off.
Oh, the Lightning goalie.
So the Rangers goalie.
Oh, I don't even know who he is. I know Zibanejad. That's the one guy I know from the
Igor Shesterkin. I'm pretty sure I got that right. A lot of my friends are Rangers fans. I grew up liking the Rangers. I'm a little less involved in hockey now, mostly just because I'm so invested in other sports. But I will be watching the Rangers game tonight because I'm like 70% sure I know how to pronounce his last name correctly. Igor Shesterkin. That's my hockey pick for the night.
Okay, that's cool. Kucherov's going to score twice. All right, we move on. Alex Killorn too. Killorn. Let's do it. I'm just literally listing off my one lineup that I have for that thing. Hey, it's free money, whatever. Anything else that you want the people to know here as we head on out, Greg? Any final words for the people?
Are there any NHL bets that stand out on Oddsshopper today? Let's see. I mean, we might as well give one out to the people. Kucherov.
The first one is the under of shot attempts for the guy that I just picked to score twice.
The one guy this is perfect. The one guy who Eric knows. Nikita Kucherov, under 3.5 shots. A
lot of players on the Tampa Bay Lightning because they've been in the Stanley Cup like 3 years. You have Tyler Motte, you have Steven Stamkos, who's now on that team. You have Ross Colton. You have Victor Hedman defensively. You have a lot of guys. I can name a lot of Tampa Bay Lightning because they win, unlike the Rangers that don't.
Ooh. All right, there we go. You're the second most Canadian person at the company behind Nolan Kelly now. Nikita Kucherov, under 3.5 shots on goal. We have him projected for 3. It's good for a 17% expected ROI, 6.23% win rate. We've got other sports up here other than just baseball and basketball. So that's what I'm leaving the people with.
All right. Well, we're going to get out of here. Thank you so much to Jordan Klein. It's good to see you again, baby. Always nice. Greg Ehrenberg, he's fantastic. He's fine. He's always divine. I'm Eric Lindquist. I got nothing to rhyme with. We'll see you guys later.